Russian cash 200 NL, and we're starting off with queens that we're gonna open, and we're gonna 3-bet king 10 of hearts. In cutoff position, we only play 3-bet or fold. We never flat unless there's a recreational in one of the blinds that we want to play a pot with. So we're gonna expand our calling range pre-flop and mix it in with some 3-bets. Ace is a fold versus the low jack open. Gonna open a bit wider. 8-7 off is in different pre-flop in the button, but we're gonna open it because I expect people to be too tight pre-flop and I expect to have a post-flop edge that's gonna generate us EV. Here we face a check back on a board that rake too high should bet polarized. That means very strong hands and bluffs, and our range would be polarized as well, because if he bets the strong part of his range, we want to probe with the strong part of our range, okay? And we had a double gutshot on the turn, so that's a good candidate to barrel turn, but when it holds really quickly on the turn and the flush comes and the 6 pairs, suddenly we don't have the advantage anymore. Because he could have a lot of flushes, all flush draws pretty much call turn bet, almost never raised, and he could have a lot of 6x that check back flop and called the turn bet. So now we have to be careful with our bluffing frequency on the river. Again, if the board doesn't favor your range very much, you have to be careful with your bluffing frequency because you don't have a lot of value hands to incorporate into your betting range. And on the other side of the equation, if you have a lot of value hands, that means that you have a strong range advantage on a certain board that allows you to bluff much more because you have a lot more value hands to pair the bluffs with. So we're gonna open king jack offsuit in the button, and versus a recreational here in the big blind with 10-9 offsuit, I'm gonna open. Why recreational? Because he's playing a short stack. So I wanna play a bit wider pre-flop. We're gonna fold king 10 offsuit twice. We're gonna open ace jack off, and we face a 3-bet and we have to fold. We're gonna call versus the 2x, king 9 offsuit. We get a top pair on the flop. This is a board he either chooses a polarized size and bets a lower frequency, or he just c-bets range for a small size. And he went pot. That means he chooses the polarized range approach. And we're gonna continue with top pair. Now again, when he chooses a polarized, this is a spot we can donk on. I'm not going to donk my hand because I think it fits better in the checking range. But when he bets polarized, he doesn't really bet a lot of 10x, but we call all 10x, check all 10x. So we can donk on this turn. For a high frequency, we can choose a small size. And here, we check all flop with bottom pair and a backdoor flush draw, and we get the backdoor flush draw on the turn. And he checks back. So now we just have showdown and we want to realize our showdown value. I might have bluffed some lower pocket pairs, but a7 is too strong. And here I'm just going to straight up fold king 9. Why? He decides to bet on a turn that's good for me, okay, after he bet pot on the flop. And that means usually that he has a very strong hand or very strong draw. And how does king 9 face versus this type of range? Not very well. So I'm gonna make a hero fold in the turn and just fold my top pair. And that could even be the equilibrium solution, right? Because you might think, oh, he's crazy, he's folding top pair versus turn bet. But if he started with a small c bet, then he filters my range much more. He started with a big c-bet that filters my range much more and allows me to fold top pairs actually on the turn versus the turn bet. I'm going to squeeze Jack 10 suited here. But if we have chosen a small size on the flop, then I can't really theoretically fold top pair on the turn already, because my range is so wide calling the flop bet because it's so small that now I have to continue all top pairs on the turn. Once he chooses a big size on the flop, I can start folding more on the turn top pairs. It's all about where you stand in your range, right? And I'm gonna call here just because we're in position and it's a very small 4-bet and we just get trips. I'm gonna call 10-9 suited as well. Starts with a small c-bet. He's a very tight individual. Oh, he's a very tight individual. Versus this guy, I honestly just wanna jam it on the flop because he always has aces and kings. But I'm still gonna call in case he has ace king. And here I'm gonna check raise, 10-9. No reason to bet big. He's almost dead anyways. So we just want to bet small, and if he has ace king and we want him to call because it's pretty much dead. If he hits the jack, we got a full house, he gets the straight and he stacks off. I'm gonna bet really small. And I'm just gonna jam river, and I hope he has like ace queen at least, but according to his stats I just think it's aces and kings. So I'm just gonna snap jam him. If he has ace king, he's folding always. And we get the cooler of the coolers. And he just had top set, top full house. That's just cooler, guys. It's nothing you can do in poker. Sometimes you have to lose your stack. And that's okay. Here we started with a check back, and just king queen has a lot of showdown value versus the button versus big blind, so I'm just gonna check all the way. And I'm not folding anything in a splash pot, I don't think so. Again, I don't have the exact ranges, I didn't really study them, but I think when you got 10 BBs in the pot already, you just pretty much call all suited ends and try to realize your equity. Versus a jam, just fold. And here you have showdown value versus queen jack, wonderful. This is a 3-bet versus the button or versus the call off we're gonna fold. This is a mixed 3-bet versus the hijack. I hold the high number, so I'm gonna go with it. We would have flopped 2 pairs. Gonna open king queen suited, offsuit, sorry. And 10-4 suited is not an open, but I would have opened it because I want to open a bit wider. Start with a small c-bet with my entire range on this type of board. I'm gonna call queen 6 suited here. It might be 3-bet, but a very, very low frequency. And versus a 12 VP guy, that means it's super, super tight. If the button folds, I'm just gonna open 5-2 suited to punish his low VP. And once it starts with a check here, our range wants to be polarized, and I think queen 6 really fits the betting range as a bluff. Why? Because we got a lot of backdoors we can barrel, right? Pretty much every card gives us a straight draw, except a king, a deuce, a 3, and a 4, and a 5. So like half the deck gives us a straight draw, and we can barrel on flush turns, like a club turn. So it's a very intuitive hand for me to start betting flop, and we can make a hand like king queen that dominates our queen, queen jack, stuff like that fold, and clean quotes our queen out. Facing an open and a 3-bet, ace-10 is a fold. Gonna open ace queen offsuit and gonna open ace 3 suited. We face a 3-bet and it's just a fold, especially versus a short stack. Gonna open jacks in the cutoff. Gonna open a bit wider hijack. Again, it's probably a mix pre-flop or very close, close to 0 EV. You just get folds all around. Gonna open pocket eights. Threes is a mix pre-flop, and we're gonna open it. We're gonna open a bit rider versus the big 3-bet. I'm just gonna fold. If it was a smaller 3-bet, I would have called. I'm gonna call pocket 8 here versus the 3-bet. We see a very solid pre-flop stats. That means it's probably a regular. Again, this is a mix, but I'm gonna open wider. What's the small c-bet? We're gonna continue. This is a board you actually shouldn't c-bet range. The low cards don't connect to this range so much, only the ace. And so we should bet actually a kind of polarized range with a strong ace-x and check all his kings, queens, stuff like that at a very high frequency. Yeah. And versus the quick tone bet, we're just gonna fold pocket eights. Just doesn't fit out. I'm gonna flat. You can flat and you can 3-bet here. It's a mix. I'm gonna start with a check back. This is a board that depends on the strategy, right? Everybody has a very different strategy on this type of board. Some c-bet, some check range. But yeah, once we get the turn pair, I'm just gonna check all around and check again and hope to see pocket sixes or something and win. Pocket threes. Very tight individual, didn't bluff a hand that clearly has 0 showdown value. And I would have folded mine because you don't expect people to bluff pocket pairs like he showed us. So ace 5 suited is a call and a very low frequency 4-bet. 3-bet. I'm gonna 3-bet check here. Now, versus a c-bet, I think I just have to fold ace 5. A king jack board really hits his range, the 3-betting range, and yeah, ace 5 is just, even though we have the backdoor straight draw and the flush draw, I just think it's too weak, out of position. And facing a 4-bet, we can call, we can jam. I'm just gonna call this time. Most frequent action would be call. And it starts with a really small c-bet and a 20% pot. And you would be surprised, especially versus a person who doesn't 4-bet as often as he should. Jacks could be fold right here. If you have a diamond, you always call. If you don't have a diamond, it's mix. And when he sizes up, and I expect people to under 4-bet in the 200 NL Russian cash pool, that means his range is stronger coming to the flop. I'm just gonna fold right here and then jacks. Might look nitty, but that would save you a lot of money, especially in the lower games, 100 NL, 200 NL. So with pocket raiser, we started with a small c-bet, and if I was in the button, I would check back. But in the low jack, where you don't have a lot of errands like the button, you want to start barreling pocket pairs, low pairs. If I had ace deuce, for example, it would be a good barrel on the turn. So I'm gonna barrel pocket raise and pick it down. Versus a small 3-bet out position, versus a recreational, I'm assuming I'm gonna continue 5-4 suited. Ace queen is a mix between, and versus the big bet, I'm just folding. Ace queen is a mix on the button versus the low jack, a call and a 3-bet. And he starts with a small size. I'm gonna continue cautiously with a call. Or playing against Looks like solid pre-flop stats, but he's Chinese, so he might be like a semi-recreational. And when he checks, I'm just gonna go pot turn and evaluate on the river. And he folds. Forces a 4-bet, king jack off is a clear fold. Opening queen jack off in the call off. Facing a 3-bet, we just have to fold. Open queen 9 suited. And open jack 10 suited on the button. We just get folds, guys. We want action. Versus the 3-bet, we only have one option, and it's to call. And I'm gonna 3-bet 7 over here. It's a mixed pre-flop. And we get top pair on the 3-bet pot. This is a board he should actually see, but it's very high frequency. The 10 connects with his range a lot, and he should use a big size between half pot and 75% pot like he chooses here. Nothing to do with our pair but call. King on the turn is not a good card. This is a card he can pretty much c-bet turn with his entire range. He should mix sizes. He should mix probably 75, 50, 33. He can mix whatever sizes he wants. His range crushes this board. And with top pair, with second pair now, I'm going to continue with a call and be cautious on the river. When the flush comes, we actually have a candidate to bluff. And I like bluffing here because once the king comes and he bets half pot on the turn, I don't really expect him to. He doesn't expect us to call pocket pairs or anything like it, and there's not a lot of both pairs that didn't get there. I got timed out, but it's a fold queen here. So this is one of the only bluffs we have. If he thinks about it, like he wouldn't expect us to bluff a pair. So I'm just gonna jam and try to make it fold queens or king queen, but in this stakes, I guess they don't fold king queen. Well, he had the nut blocker. But yeah, we try to make jacks, queens, and king, queen, king, jack fold pretty much when the flush comes. And nice hand, he snapped us. I'm gonna put 3-bet pocket 9 here. I'm gonna 3-bet pocket queens as well. And we get 2 folds. Gonna open queen 9 suited and ace 3 suited. We face a call from a recreational player that looks on the tight side. Very tight actually. On this board, 3 ways, we have pretty much 0 equity, so I'm just gonna continue with start with a check. And he snap checks. This is interesting, the snap checks. It usually means he has something or he gave up on the pot already. Yeah. So I'm gonna fold once the big blind bets. I'm gonna 3-bet ace 10 suited, ace 10 offsuit, sorry. We get face a 4-bet and I'm just gonna fold. So for me, a purple stag means a nit, a guy who doesn't play a lot of hands and is very careful and is very overfold post flop. So I'm gonna open much more wide. Just exploit it. This is the board I see bet range. And now on the turn with key guy, you have no other option but to check all around. And hope he has some sort of draw that missed, or but yeah, the full house. But yeah, some sort of 8-9, queen 9, and it's a neat, so we might not bluff those. And I open aces in the low jack. We get a call. This is a board. Monotone boards are, you probably see that 50-60% of the time for a small size. Our hand is just pretty much the nuts, so we're gonna start with a c-bet. Again, a low VP, guys, so we're gonna open very wide. But no, there's not a big sample. On the turn, you can mix 75% and 33%. 33% revolves around Jack X, and 75% revolves around over pairs or flushes, two pairs, more strong hands. Obviously, you mix in all sizes, nutted hands and bluffs. And the time bank is twice, where we should check range pretty much. It starts with a donk. So I really consider it as weak. I think if you had a flush, you would probably check raise or donk faster. So I'm just gonna go with this raise because I think my hand is the best hand, and we also have a withdrawal to the nuts. So in case we're behind, but yeah, I thought it might be some sort of nuts. So maybe I should have called my mind, but definitely if I had a bluff, I would raise and barrel river. King Jack suited, you can mix a 3-bet, you can mix a call. Open queen in the bottom. Gonna open 5-4 suited. It's a mixed pre-flop, but again, expect people to be too tight. And now when the button 3-bets us, we actually want to call this pure, compared to if it was cutoff versus button. Just because of how 5-4 suited performs versus the very top of the range. Performs really well versus aces, kings, queens. Yeah, and it's got a lot of implied odds and a lot of equity compared to if it's versus a range that contains ace-4, ace-5 suited, all sorts of other suited hands. So versus a more tight range, actually, you want to call them pure. I'm going to 3-bet ace queens offsuit here. And versus a 4-bet, we just fold. Ace-9 again is a mix, but I'm opening a bit wider. This is a recreational guy, 37.25. We would have played this hand, but this is a 3-bet, we just fold. Versus the mean ways, even 10-3 suited folds versus the hijack, and check fold this flop. Queen 9, I would open it, but versus an open fold. I'm gonna flat a bit wider here. Again, this is a fold pre-flop, but I expect to have a post-flop edge, and it's a 2x open. This is a random Chinese short stack. So yeah. And now that it double checks, I'm just gonna, on a board that's good for him, I'm just gonna pile money. Snap check twice. I'm just gonna go big over bet on the turn and jam river. I don't expect him to have enough traps. Snap check twice. If he had another dead, you would think about it. And I'm gonna squeeze here aces. Get a call, and we're probably gonna get another call from a recreational or a back jam. If he back jams, I might consider actually a cold call to get the German guy in. But when he just calls, I think the standard would be to see that half pot on the flop. Versus a donk. We don't really need protection versus this guy, right? Because it's got a very short stack. The question is, do we want to look this guy in, or we want to raise? What would be the higher we play? And I think if we raise, we get him off a pocket pair that has almost zero equity versus us. So we prefer just calling, and maybe back raises, does a mistake with like ace 9 or pocket 10s. But now we just call. And he got the best turn in the deck. Not the best, but we got some equity. Sure, let's run it twice. He gets once, and we get the second time. Nice hand, buddy. So I'm gonna 3-bet, pocket queens, button versus cutoff. Looks like a very tight individual. Fold. Gonna open pocket aces. Gonna open 10-8, put it in the button. We get a cover. This is a board with aces that we wanna actually check very high frequency with aces. So I'm gonna do it this time. And here versus the small 3-bet we're gonna call. If it was like 12 BB, I would have folded 10-8 suited. And now that he checks again, I'm just gonna go bet 75 and bet 75. But yeah, this is a board we want to polarize on. That means we want to bet our best hands and our worst hands. And aces just has more protection than, for example, pocket queens. So you bet pocket queens more often than you would bet pocket aces. I'm gonna finish the video after these two hands. If you stayed so far, that means you like the video. Please press the like button, comment. I answer all comments. Press the subscribe button. It really helps. And yeah, I'm gonna do more cool videos, more play and explain. So hit that like button. I'm gonna call the 3-bet with pocket deuces and fold flop. I'm gonna 3-bet ace king suited here and get a fold. That's it for this video, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. There's plenty more videos to come.